But 4 days or 4 hours that you spend with those kids can be more meaningful and impactful to your life later on. Auditorium, ya. Memang hebat lah. Very good performance, very good presentation, yeah. I think the best one is the project lah, ya. The project is very impactful, ya. Project sangat baik, ya. Datang ke tempat orang asli, ya, yang sangat terpinggir.
I'm very impressed with what you have done. That you see going out to the community. Our max $300 to each award. You are talking about $200.
What's fulfilling for me personally, because we learn skills personally that we can do it daily. Like we make our own cups, we make our own games. This is a game that we make from scratch, and plastic bottles are mainly from scratch. So hence the name Fresh to Treasure. And Blackpool is because the second project was basically helping others. So we helped many of the staffs of IIUM to get second-hand clothes that's valuable. We managed to give them clothes for right.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Please find a seat, fill up the front row, and make yourself comfortable as our program will begin shortly. Those upstairs, you are kindly invited to fill in the seats downstairs. Your kind cooperation is very much appreciated. Thank you. I repeat, those upstairs, you are kindly invited to fill in the seats downstairs. Your kind cooperation is highly appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen,
please kindly ensure that your mobile phones are in silent mode or turned off
to avoid any interruptions
during the ceremony.
You may
register your attendance for CTD points by scanning the QR code provided in this auditorium
and at the
YouTube channel.
Please be
informed that the scan time for registration is between 8:30 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. only.
We would also
like to invite you to complete a penilaian ideal pribadi organisasi survey by MSD.
You can find
and scan the QR code pasted at
Yes.
Ladies and
Gentlemen, please
rise.
rise.
Announcing the
The
arrival
arrival
of
Honorable Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Dato' Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Rector of International Islamic University, Malaysia.
Let us sing
Let us sing together the national anthem, Negaraku.
Ladies and
Gentlemen, please be seated. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil awliya wal mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Praise be to Allah, the cherisher and sustainer of the worlds, and blessings be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his family and his companions.
Honorable
Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Dato' Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Rector of the International Islamic University, Malaysia, respected University Management Committee members, honorable guests, deans, directors, senior officials and staff of IIUM, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Salam Malaysia Madani, and a very good morning. Welcome to the Al-Liqa Al-Jamaie No 2023. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in order to invoke the blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I have the pleasure to call upon Al-Fadil Ustaz Muhammad Rashid Ridha bin Muhammad Shukri, Tilawah Lecturer from Center for Language and Pre-University Academic Development Salpad, to recite Surah At-Tin verses 1 to 8. فليتفضل مشكورا.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين. لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم. ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون. فما يكذبك
ideas, new concepts that you want to put in so that the university will move forward. But this time around, I'm going to take it easy. If you can have my first slides. I want to take it easy in the sense that it is not about something new. I think we have had that for the last 4 years or so. But how we can put this together as a building block moving forward. We've been doing that for the last 3 or 4 years. But now, how do we see this as an impactful sort of exercise that we have been through? So I'm going to take some experiences that we had in the last 6 months or so that we see where we are heading and how do we move from where we are now, from leading the way to what we normally want to do, and how do we then lead the world. Yeah? Leading the world is a tagline for those of you who are not familiar to live with the mission of the university. The mission of the university talks about the betterment of human life and civilization. Yeah? So the word civilization, the word Madani that's being used now, has been used by the university 40 years ago. So it is not something which is new to us. And it's time for us now to see how do you actually take this on so that the world moving forward, not only a civilized world, but a world that is peaceful, harmonious, and a world that is, equitable, just, fair. All are these are the virtues of the university that we want to put forward, and I'm sure many of you shared us. Yeah? And again, for those of you who are not familiar with the university has made its name at an international platform. You can see one logo there is the UNESCO logo that regards us as one of the quote-unquote designated institution to work on sustainable development and also to work on futures. In other words, we have got a capacity to predict what the future looks like. It's not the future in 5 to 10 years' time, but it is almost like a generational future. What will be the kind of future that we will see maybe 30 years from now, 40 years from now, because the kind of changes that we see today are not incremental changes, but quantum changes. And how do you cope with it? So it is a question of how do you prepare ourselves, and this is what the university is for. To prepare mindsets so that we can cope with the changing future the way it's going to turn up. And for that, I think we won a number of awards internationally, and this is a recognition that I hope you will sustain so that this university will continue to contribute at the international level. So what I'll do today was basically to start off with where do you want to go from here? In other words, for the last 2018, when I first stepped foot in this university, now ending of my career here, where do we go and how do we actually strategize this so that this can be a continuous process no matter who comes and who goes as far as the university is concerned. One of the good news that I want to bring to you was basically we have been recognized by quote-unquote the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Wisma Putra, to work with them on issues that has to do with diplomacy. So on the 8th of August, we had a celebration of the ASEAN Day, the 56th ASEAN Day in this campus, bringing foreign dignitaries, ambassadors, people who are interested in foreign affairs to celebrate what ASEAN is all about. And more importantly, is also to bring ideas of what I think this something wrong with the I worry this time when I do this presentation on the graphic thing, it doesn't fit well. The word diplomacy should have been here, but somehow or other. That's what diplomacy is all about. It runs as you go along. But we are asked to introduce another concept of diplomacy. The minister called it the middle diplomacy. Yeah? Middle diplomacy doesn't sound salable. Middle, low, soft, hard. These are the words that have been used. So we're trying to craft it into what we call a Sejahtera diplomacy. And the word Sejahtera has got its own meaning in the context of education, coming from the philosophy of education, Kesejahteraan diri. So the word Sejahtera has been bandied around for so many years. It's not something which is new for us in education. It has been there for the last 35 years. But nobody picks it up. If they do pick it up, they do not understand what it means. So here we are trying to give some meaning into what Sejahtera is all about. How could then Sejahtera be one of the fundamental foundation of diplomacy? We are not going to just take diplomacy the way it's been dished out to us, especially from the Western world. And when we talk about diplomacy, hard diplomacy, soft diplomacy, and now you have got middle diplomacy. We want to create our own value systems, our own understanding, our own cultural values can also be embedded into an international forum that recognizes Malaysia as, quote-unquote, a civilized country. We want to call it Madani is fine, but we are civilized nevertheless. Whatever word you want to use, Tamadun or Peradaban, these are other words that we can use. So we went into a very sort of close relationship. That's the Director General of IDFR, the Institute of Diplomatic Relation, which is part of WISMA, and we have regular dialogue, regular seminars, lectures, and discussion to understand and to craft out whether this diplomacy based on Sejahtera is workable, and if it's workable, how do you extend it to the whole of ASEAN, beginning from ASEAN, and how do you move to ASEAN, and then to the rest of the world. So the key word that we use here is what we call CQ, which is cultural intelligence. We must have heard from many intelligence, IQ, EQ, SQ. But fundamentally, all these, I think, must be embedded into something that we do every day. What we do every day is our culture. And therefore, what is the intelligence that is associated with that? And how do culture then combine together regardless of where it comes from? Because the fundamental values are the same. So there is another way of understanding cultural intelligence as part and parcel of diplomacy and how it is embedded into diplomacy. I really hesitate to press this because I don't know what's going to come next. Right? So before that, I think I would want also to recognize that this university, particularly people who have been working very hard in trying to lift up the name of the university. We go into a kind of a regular competition organized by United Nations, UNESCO, the international bodies that is credible, right? And one of those are trying to show impact into communities. What are the things that we have done that can bring direct impact to the communities, particularly the communities around us? And this, I think, is a competition. These are the finalists, and you find that our university there among 15 other finalists around the world, right? And it's very specific. These are the finalists that come from our own campus in Kuantan that work on trash to treasure sort of project that recycles and make things workable again when it is already been thrown out of regular use aside. And the good news is that most of us know, for those of you who have not, we become the champion as far as the world is concerned. So the university will be regarded as the best university in trying to benefit society. And what does it mean to us? And this is where I think this whole idea of an international university comes on board. In other words, this university can contribute at a level of just beyond Malaysia. We can go international, we can compete with many other universities around the world and still worth our own sort of values that we want to promote. Yeah? So they become the distinctive example of how a university could contribute to the community. So when I'm told that we are going to work with the prison, it already occurs to my mind, you know, how do we work with the prison and make also sure that this is something that we want to share with the world. It's just not about Malaysia, Dato'. It's about how we together can portray a picture that the prison and the university can work together to lift up human dignity. And I think this is kind of a challenge. And to be honest with you, our constitutional head, which happens to be Yang Maha Raja Permaisuri Agong, has been working with the prison for a long time. In terms of textile, and she always mentioned to me, how can we make this happen in the context of so those are these areas that I think we can explore and work so that this university will move forward as compared to other universities, not only in Malaysia, around the world. So we are rewarded as we work on, and as we actually display some of the things that we are able to do, given the talent, given the competencies, and given also the professionalism of the university. Right. From then I want to move into my escapade in Korea. And this was just last week, on the 15th of September, I was there. And I just want to show you some of these pictures here. The place is called Tongyong. You can see this place here. Right? And it is now on the southern part of Korea. And that place houses another regional centers of expertise for sustainable development, just like us. But what is unique about this place, it has got a center called the Sejahtera Center. So you find it's a little bit awkward that in Malaysia there is no Sejahtera Center. But in Korea there is a Sejahtera Center that was built maybe 7 years ago in 2015. And they came over, then I was in USN and tried to understand what is this word Sejahtera is all about. And I give some explanation to them for maybe about 2 hours, and they left. And that's it. You know, in 2015 they would call me back and say, we are ready to launch a Sejahtera Center in a place called Tongyong. And this place is a massive place of almost 250 hectares. And they've invested 20 million US to build the Sejahtera Center, beginning from the training part. So when you talk about trading now, they're having trading on Sejahtera, and the living quarters, and also all the other paraphernalia that you need. They've got here chicken coop, they've got the wetland, they've got the paddy fields, they've got something that to do with arts and culture, they've got how to cook and how to wash. I'll show some pictures of this. In other words, how to live a Sejahtera life. You cannot imagine what else can happen to Korea. They're so advanced, they're so futuristic in a way as far as technology is concerned. And yet they're going back to the values that we aspire, and they think these are higher values as compared to what they've got. Here we are struggling to use our technology and handphones as though that's the end of the world for us. For them, no. For them, this is not the end of the world. The end of the world is how to be a human being again. That's the interesting part of the Sejahtera Center. So they're training their children how to be a human being again in the context of Sejahtera. And because they don't have this word Sejahtera in their own culture, and therefore they borrow from us. And I asked them, why do you come to Malaysia specifically? There are other concepts around the world, you know, Ubuntu and other places. They say in 1970, we came to Malaysia and borrowed a concept called Gotong Royong, which in their language is Semil Undung. And they kata, we progressed because we walked through Gotong Royong. Example they gave me, kalau jalan tu berlubang, we don't wait for the municipality to come and patch it. We together patched it. You know, I remember when Agong went to Sabah. I was there also, and the news that I got, they were trying to patch the road until the very night before Agong comes in. Of the road, because there's a road that Agong, the side road masih berlubang. If I think, but that's us. That's us. And they have taken this concept
and they've built it. And they say, because of that, we are so successful now that we've gone into another level of problem, that we are so materialistic that we do not know how to balance life. And the suicide rate in Korea is one of the highest, if not the highest, in the country. At every bridge, under the bridge, there is a boat, a rescue boat, to wait for the next people to jump down, and then they will rescue them. And for, on average, every bridge, there's 50 people who will jump every day. And that's a kind of stress level that they undergo. And they want Sejahtera to be, quote unquote, the panacea to this. Yeah? So they built the centers for that, and they've got not only the Sejahtera Center, they've got along with them the Sejahtera Forest. Here, all these are national forests, just like our, what do you call, Rimba Negara, somewhere in Pahang. These are all forbidden areas for development, and they've got right in front of them the sea. It's a very well located place, and this is the Sejahtera Center. Yeah? So there are many 23 countries and on that particular meeting, the Asia Pacific region, that talks about what is Sejahtera. And we were conducting it. From Malaysia, we were conducting it, although we do not have a Sejahtera Center as sophisticated as the one they've got. Right? So from then, I think these are some of the activities that we were there. We visited the school, and this was the schools that we visited, and they were part of the curriculum, part of the syllabus is what Sejahtera is all about. In other words, how do they grow fish in the school? How do they plant some vegetables in the school? How they look after insects? They've got a project called the Insects Hotel, so that insects can be preserved, not to be killed the way we kill them with our aerosol. Okay? So how do you actually live and be comfortable with nature? And these are teenagers, right? And these are the one in yellow, they are the students, and they teach us and they tell us exactly what they are doing in terms of education. And exams is not part of their education. UPSR, PT3, and all these things that we are grappling with, for them that is done, because that is not what the value for life is all about. You get 5 A's, it doesn't mean that you're going to be successful in life. You're going to be successful in life if you know how to balance your life with nature and how to sustain it the way we see it when the pandemic comes. So we visited the school, and the school won many prizes internationally based on the concept of Sejahtera. I mean, sometimes it's quite embarrassing to be in Korea because they have dominated the Sejahtera before than we do. Yeah? We were given the liberty to draw. They gave me a kind of a plate. They said, draw what you want to draw. And then they will bake it, and then this becomes a souvenir for people who come to these places. So I drew, this is my piece, trying to depict what Sejahtera is all about from my point of view. Yeah? These are the artwork of the students coming from all this material that they've thrown away. Yeah? And these are some of the remnants of glasses or woods or something like that, you know. Instead of just throwing it away, they turn it into an art form. They exercise their creativity not by buying very expensive portrait of Picasso and spend millions. They just do this, and these are the work of the students that later on will be placed in the school building so that the students can also appreciate and be recognized for what they've done and become part and parcel of what recycling is all about in the real sense of the word. Not to do it because I got marks out of this, but to do it because I want to save the world and the environment around. Okay? Yeah? And there are many of this, and there's a lot of things. For us who stayed in, we stayed in means, I don't know if I can go back, I don't know. How do I patah balik? The hostel is somewhere here. Oh, sorry. The hostel is somewhere here. You can only walk, you cannot drive, you cannot do anything of that use fossil fuel and stuff like that. Yeah? And we were given the hostel. And in that hostel, you have to really earn your piece. You know? So we go down to breakfast, and then after that I have to clean my own plates. Yeah, that's me, cleaning my own plates. And the way to clean the plates are also very well managed. You've got only three bowl of water. The first one you use with the detergent to take all the dirt out. Second one you rinsed it. The third one you further rinsed it, and that's it. No time to turn off the tap and wash it at your leisure, and sing a song at the same time. No. But everybody has to go through that and wash your own plates and carry whatever you need to do. And then sometimes you need to work on your own power. I want to see the TV, I need to cycle the bike so that there's enough power to switch on the TV. Otherwise, sorry, no TV for you. See, although it's a 3-day or a 4-day experience, but it clicks on you, Why are these spotlights on? For whom? For me alone? Do I deserve 4 spotlights and cost so much? So these are issues that they are beginning to question, and they are beginning to change their lifestyle according to the principle of Sejahtera that they've been advocating to their students, right? So I wish, I was just trying to make a proposal whether at the end of this year, some of us can go and visit the Sejahtera Center. I told them if you want to visit in big numbers, they say you're welcome, so that we can see exactly how they've done it and maybe learn from them as far as Sejahtera is concerned. So I came back on the 17th night. On the 18th, I end up with this together with Prof. Faris, another conference, and this conference is quite different also, because here we talk about the futures. What will the future be, and how do you predict the future? As I've mentioned to you, that the university has got a chair for the futures. Yeah? So not much to say, because I don't have much slides on this. And these are all the world renowned except for one, which is not. The rest are all world renowned, right? They are futurists themselves. They have got methodology to predict. Dato, if you want to predict, where will the prison be 2 generations from now? Will they still be a prison? Or do the concept of prisons has changed altogether? They have the capacity to do that. So in other words, we begin to plan, and you're talking about training, we begin to train our people. 20 years from now, there's no prisons anymore, say, if that's the kind of future that we predict. That's what we do now. Yeah? How do the university respond to a country that has no prison? But they're still prisoners, right? There are still people who do awkward things. How do you relate to this? And so for the mindset preparation is what this is all about. So we've got all these people who were there telling us what the future looks like, depending on where they come from, what are their expertise, and so on and so forth. I think the person that is really the guru on this is Professor Sohail Inayatullah, the futurologist with tremendous experience, yeah? And they tell us what is it that we want to look for. And therefore, when we stay in a university like this, when the whole world talking about the futures, and our future is just about tomorrow. Itu pun some people doesn't want to think about tomorrow. Yeah? Or maybe 5 years from now, rancangan Malaysia ke-12, and having this debate in the parliament, which is also truncated in many ways. Yeah? People are already talking beyond. So when they say, okay, the world is going to change this way, now only we begin to start changing. Yeah? Human resource, baru nak terkejar-kejar. Yeah? When we should also be telling ourselves, this is the future of the university. The university wants to move this way, who wants to come on board? Because we think education has changed. And alhamdulillah, that's what we are able to do on this particular occasion. We say the university will change. We have been modeling this. We say the university cannot live on its own without living with the community. And therefore, we combine the word community and university together and say that the next university will be in the order of the community. In other words, if the university do not work with the community, then the university is totally irrelevant. The university can be world-class, the university can be, famous, but if Kampung Sungai Pusu was the way it was 40 years ago, then the university is a failure. So how do university bring this community on board? In other words, you need to address the community itself in terms of education. You need to address the problem of the community in terms of moving forward. You need to get in touch with the teachers in the university so that they can be realigned in their thinking. And this is what I think we are thinking about. How do you build this community and the way to lead forward and make it the kind of model of university coming on board, maybe not too long, maybe 5 years from now. We predict this 5 years from now. And therefore, IIUM can play this leadership role. Barulah kita kata we are leading the way. Yeah? We cannot be leading the way if you follow somebody else. I want to lead the way, but I want to follow University of Malaya. Yeah? I want to lead the way, but I want to follow Cambridge, Oxford, Harvard. They themselves are just another university as far as I'm concerned, except that they are more vocal, they are more active, they are more futuristic in that sense, and therefore they lead the way, and we have no choice but to follow. So these are the things that we want to do now in this futuristic thing, and in my ending remarks, as far as were there, I promised them that next year we will report to you what the community is all about, and can Asia Pacific be that group of people that will lead to the new kind of education moving forward, again, based on the concept of sejahtera. Yeah? And in that occasion also, we were lucky to announce a chair on sustainable development for this Kuliah of Engineering. Congratulations to the Kuliah of Engineering. Right? This was funded by SSCO, which is an equivalent to UNESCO as far as the OIC is concerned. I think this is one of the first chair that works with sustainable development, if I'm not mistaken. There's another opportunity then to craft what engineering looks like in the future as far as sustainable development is concerned. In other words, if you build a bridge, the little that I know about engineering, if you build a bridge, the bridge enhances the environment. The bridge does not kill the environment. In other words, the kind of trees that you're going to cut or the structures that you're going to do, it actually compounds and makes the environment better rather than losing the environment. So we hope we've got Professor Ode. There's a person here, I think. Yeah, he's from Bahrain, if I'm not mistaken. He will lead this whole idea of sustainable engineering, and we hope other kuliah will also be sustainable over a period of time. So we spent this 2 days there, and yesterday it was the last day, and now I am back to this university in trying to, for those of you who are not familiar, this is our vision for the university. We've got a vision in the year 2040, where the university is going to be. This is the artwork that from a university of Museum of Tomorrow, maknanya if you are not going to be relevant, then people will come here and say, oh, this is how it looks like 40 years ago, you know, and you preserve the way it is. There's nothing new that they can learn from, right? And how do you move from that kind of a possibility to another possibility that actually follow the flow? In other words, the current practices, the current development of the university in the future, how can we be part of that? And this is where I think the whole mural tells us about, yeah? The features for 2040, all right? Okay, next one is, okay, the next episode then will be next week. We were invited, alhamdulillah, by the Nobel Laureate Foundation to be part of what we call the Nobel Prize Dialogue. The theme of that dialogue will be future learning, exploring science and technology. Yeah? We were slotted on 3 sessions, and the sessions will, one is on what is the purpose of education, a good opportunity for us to repurpose education. The way this university has crafted itself, what we want to do. We talk about humanizing education. So I'm going to talk about humanizing education in this particular forum. Hopefully, there is something that other people will find it exciting. No longer this education of just getting A, B, and C, or no longer this education about just marketability, you know. you go and get the job somewhere, but you don't get a job as a human being. You get a job as a robot, for example, all right? That you don't have a sense of what humanity is all about. That a lesson that we learned very, very difficult during the pandemic. That humanity has been tested, and I think we lost the war, because when the vaccination comes in, humanity is still not been looked after. How do you repurpose this? How do you tell the world that our university is very concerned about humanity? We work with people in the prison and treat them like human beings, not as prisoners. Prisoners second, human beings. Quality. Yeah? So I can imagine, for example, some people will talk about this 5G technology. And people in Sabah and Sarawak still have to climb trees to get connection. That is not education. Education is about leveling up. A leveler of society is education. Our society is not being leveled up because the education system has not been working well. As simple as that. But politicians doesn't want to recognize it because they're using education part of their politicization. I'm going to be direct about this. So how do this university now say, you come to IIUM, you can be leveled up? It doesn't matter who you are. In fact, this university has been doing that for a long time. That many of these people come to the university are people who are poor. That we support them in terms of scholarship. They are not just Malaysian, they are also non-Malaysians at the same time, coming from war-torn countries of Syria, of Yemen, of Libya, you know. And the classical example that I always like to quote is when there's a Bosnian War in 1992. Yeah, I think you remember this war. That the Europeans were not very happy to help the Bosnian. Nobody helps the Bosnian particularly, except our Prime Minister then called in and said, bring in 100 students into the university. And we brought in, I think, about 100 students in the university, study in the university. After 4 years, they go back. And they go back to develop Bosnia. Bosnia survives today, I would say, without hesitation, due to many reasons of IIUM. Because when I was there, when I came here, when I was there and invited for a conference, and I walk around, every other guys that I meet is from IIUM. They say, I am from UIM, I think this is not going to be real. You know, how come there's so many of them? And I went to another friend of mine who is the president of Sarajevo University. I said, can you help me? I think everybody I met here seems to be coming from UIM. Yes. All of them, after the Bosnian War, come to IIUM to get their education and to go back and to develop Bosnia. And that is what education is all about. Saving another life, saving another group of people who otherwise without education would be long gone. And there are many of them in Malaysia itself. Don't have to talk about Bosnia. Yeah? And how are we reaching out for these people? How do you open our doors and say, come? And we are doing this again, inshallah. We have just got the approval to now bring in the Rohingyas. If we can do this for the refugees of Europe, why can't we do this for the refugees at the back of our backyard, which is Myanmar? So inshallah, next year we're going to start a program and bring in the Rohingyas. If the Rohingyas is successful, then we'll open up to all other refugees around the world. Doesn't matter. it's not about just being Muslims. When we talk about this university is about humanity. Your creed, your color comes second, if at all. Yeah? So this way, I think we're going to tell again the world, hopefully, the Nobel laureate people, and say, look, your invention, does it benefit humanity or does it benefit a few countries? Right? An example that I'm going to bring was basically this vaccination. Jonas Salk, who actually invented the first polio vaccine in the 1950s. Right? Polio then was a pandemic, just like the COVID-19. He invented it. And when he announced it to the world, and people asked him, to whom this vaccine belongs? Which company, which country, which organization? And Jeffrey Sachs says, this is for humanity. You cannot patent these polio vaccines. Polio vaccines is like the sun, that everybody benefits from it. He asked the press president, can you patent the sun? If you cannot patent the sun, then you cannot patent my vaccines. And that's why now we find that there's virtually no more polio around the world because everybody is accessible to these vaccines that Jonas Salk produced in the 1950s. But look at COVID-19 vaccines. Before you even start, they say this is patented by this company and that company, and the rich country stock more than they need for their own purposes. By the time the rich country has vaccinated 95% of their population, less than 10% of the developing countries has got the vaccination. And it's a humanity problem. Why? Because the distribution is not even. Why? Because money is more important than life. Why? Because sometimes your color is more important than other colors. Therefore, people shout, Black Lives Matters. And these are issues that has to do with education. If we train our doctors that the first time you graduate from this university, the first thing that you must do and buy a Mercedes, then I think you are creating a wrong doctor. This university will tell the first thing that you need to do, you need to go to the rural area and serve them. Yeah? You need to go to where that people do not want to go, you need to be there and serve them. So that they are also dignified, they are also accessible to the knowledge that you have got. And that is what education is all about. And the whole thing must change. And therefore, when we were asked in the third session that I'll be, they said, what do you do to tackle these grand challenges ahead? In other words, how to make a human being a human being? There is a grand challenge. We look like a human being, but we don't behave like one. Sometimes we're worse than animals. How do you bring this back into education? What are the ingredients that we need to put in? And that's part of the community that we will talk about. So I'm looking forward to this on the 24th of September, that we will be part and parcel of this dialogue that engages people around the world, again, in Seoul. Inshallah, make dua that we will do well on this. And then the next challenge will be our own campus. Yeah? We will be organizing the 13th Global RCE conference here. This is the campus. And we will be inviting no more than 27 countries around the world to see what we have done. For the last 4 years that we have done an experiment, now can we show them that this is what the university have done, this is how we train our human resource, this is what the academic program looks like, this is how we actually train them to work with the community. All these things can we share with them, and I hope I can also share with them, this is how we work with the prisons. Yeah? The time for us to show and tell, not to just tell and nothing to show, or not just to show and nothing to tell. We need to show and tell. In other words, they are convinced that this university is a university. It's not another factory that produces people for market somewhere else and everything else is not important. It's not a university that politicizes things and get, whatever they want to do, but the university is still not functioning as a university. This is a time to do it, and it comes really at the nick of time. We're celebrating our 40th anniversary, all right? If we can tell them over the 40 years we have prepared ourselves and this is where we want to go, and the next, our mission of 2040 will be this way, and I think we will get a lot of respect, a lot of recognition. People do not care whether you are Islamic or no Islamic anymore, because you are a human university. Yeah, and a human university will connect with anybody and everybody. So this is a challenge, and I left this blank because it's for you to fill in. Here we've got another 1 month. Yeah. What is it that we're going to show? What is it we're going to tell them? Where do we going to bring them? What is it that you're going to prepare so that at the end of the day, this university can be a convincing model for other people to follow, right? So, but definitely there are things that we think we should, at least from my point of view, be projecting. And I think these are the 5 things that I think we should be projecting as a suggestion to you. These are the 5 things that I think we have done well. And there's not many universities, not only in Malaysia, around the world, is doing this. So if you want to lead the way, this is one of the ways to do it, right? One is what we call the frozen zoo. This university has got the capacity to keep these gametes and eggs and sperms of extinct sort of species. One of the extinct species is a rhino, which was extinct about 2 years ago. And we are trying now to bring back the rhino from this frozen zoo. In other words, how do you then do an artificial insemination for the rhino to produce another breed of rhino? If you can do that, then I think you certainly becomes recognized, because first of all, there's not many rhino in other parts of the world. Second of all, the technology is not an easy technology. And alhamdulillah, we have got that technology. So we're working very hard to make sure one of the showcase that we're going to do is to bring back life that is gone. Yeah? And second is to make sure that our tiger is not going to be extinct. We've got less than 400 tigers in the Malaysian jungle today. How do you preserve them so that they don't go extinct like the rhino, and trying to revive them again? So this is something that I think it is worth talking about, and my colleagues or our colleague in Kuantan is working very hard on this. We've got an institute called the Institute of Planetary Survival and Human and Sustainable Wellbeing, and they are supposed to make sure that this is a project that they will do. The second is what we call the frugal innovation, and this innovation is led by another person, Dr. Zaliha, that talks about how do you actually survive when there's another pandemic. When shops are closed, when there's not enough money, how do you begin to build that basic lifestyle that when there's another pandemic, we are all self-sufficient. We can live without, all this harassment that we've got. And they are building this, and I think, again, there's another model that Malaysia could adopt given the situation we are in. Yeah? The third one is something to do with mental health. We know the next phase will be mental health. I think everybody now talks about mental health. Yeah? But how do you know whether we have got mental health problem or not? From this group of people here, how many of you have got mental health problem? You will not know. It's just like the COVID. You need to test. If you do a test and it says positive, then you know you have got mental health problem. Otherwise, you will just say, it's a good excuse. When the boss calls you today, I've got a mental health problem. I'm very stressed last night, Actually, he's enjoying his video. Yeah? I'm very stressed, Don't harass me. So we are going to have this now, working with another organization in Netherlands. We have done this very well, that now they can read your EEG, just like they read your ECG. You want to know whether you have gut problem, you do the ECG and they will see whether your rhythm is right. Yeah? Here is a test where they put this electronic caps on your head and they can read whether you are actually in a stressful state or not. You cannot lie anymore, right? And we are hoping this will be the mechanism to test particularly our students before they come into university. Before they come to university, not only their blood pressure, your sugar levels are important, we also want to see what is your state of mental health. So that we can deal with that, so that there no stress, no pressure, no suicide and stuff. And this is the kuliah of ICT, working very hard to make this into a routine test and to make it into another sophisticated test at the level of the hospital, which is in Kuantan. Again, I think there is something which is extremely new, yeah, that we've indulged ourselves in, and hopefully this will be another pathfinder moving forward. The fourth one, many of you might have heard LGBT, but we don't call it LGBT in this university. We call it gender dysphoria. Yeah, they're the same group of people, but it's just the perspective, a different perspective. LGBT will be talking about the human rights and so on and so forth. Yeah? We have done with that. Yeah? We want to look at this from the from medical point of view. And they've been doing research for the last 11 years to understand what is the medical perspective of this LGBT so that it can be quote-unquote treated. Right? And I think they've had a lot of successful cases that we think it's time now to share with the world. So that we see this LGBT issue as a human issue from the medical point of view. That nobody will argue with you whether this can be done or this cannot be done, whether the rainbow is their color or whatever it is. Those are very superficial arguments that we don't want to get into. The rainbow is ours. And when I was a kid, every afternoon when there's rain, we always look for rainbows. Why? Because we were told at the end of the rainbow, there'll be treasures. That if you can go to the end of the rainbow, there'll be treasures. And you can get those treasures and you can be rich. You don't have to go to school. So we were all very happy to Now you cannot talk about rainbows anymore. If you talk about rainbows, then you're labeled as this, and that. You know? And this rainbow belongs to a certain group of people. Only they can use the rainbow watches. We cannot use. If you use, then the police will come and handcuff you because you have got a rainbow-colored watch. What a screwed-up world this is. Yeah? So we want to bring this back and understand this. The question of transgender, LGBT is actually a human problem. It's not a political problem. It's not a human rights problem. How do you bring this back? And you only can do this when you look at it scientifically. And alhamdulillah, our kuliah of medicine is doing this. And inshallah, before the end of the year, we will then have something to do. I've talked about cultural intelligence a little bit more. For you who will be wondering, is this education? This is education. It's not just the counting and the writing and the reading. You read, you count, and then you write, but you don't know where it belongs to. How do you read, count, and write when you talk about gender dysphoria? In other words, you cannot apply. In other words, there's no relevance to what the societal problem is and how to solve it. So you become a regular accountant that do certain things, but the problem of society remains the way it is because we have no capacity to understand those. So this will be the reach that we're going to do, inshallah. At least these 5 things that we will target for the next 40th anniversary and so on and so forth. I'd like to summarize this. I think it's time to summarize this. What do I mean when I say this? The big picture is this. Yeah? I've been in this business of education for more than 40 years now, almost 50, right? But I never run away from this whole idea of education is actually a factory of human beings. Yeah, we go into university, at the end of the day, we get the certificate that says now you can get jobs. Without the certificate, you cannot get jobs. Okay? So everybody is frantically trying to go into a university and get this certificate so that they can get jobs. What do they want? They get jobs. It's about livelihood. It's not about life. Right? And why it is so? Because this is the emphasis. It's about economic needs. Okay? And to add that, there must be a technology. Technology and economy works together. Yeah? What about the community? Nobody cares. Education is about me and me alone. The community has nothing to do. If I can get my money, and I can make my money, and that's it. The community, they look after themselves. I'm not part of that. And this is what education that I mean about. We are a human factory. We are soulless. We are lifeless. Yeah? We are just about things that we can count around us, A's and B's and whatever numbers that you want to talk about. That must change, right? So it takes a change, and then, okay, since you want to talk about technology, then everybody talk about high tech. All this internet and the devices, now AI, ChatGPT, and all those things comes in, right? And we now coined the word STEM. The word STEM is borrowed from United States of America. It has nothing to do with us. United States has a problem with science and technology, and they devised a policy called STEM. And their problem is quite different from ours. But being a good copier, we copy. So we call STEM. What is STEM? STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Where is the human being? So in other words, if you follow STEM, you're going to get a lifeless human being, almost a machine-like human being. They know how to work with machines, they know how to work with animals, they do not know how to work with human beings. And that's why we create this chair for sustainable engineering, so that the human dimension can come at the same time. Okay? So STEM now is a big argument. We just had another discussion also with Mosti, whether STEM should stay as STEM or be something else. We'll talk about it a little while later. So then the committee comes in. So now we then use this technology to build the community, your 5G or your 6G, and suddenly we become a job agency. So you want to this, you work with this kuliah, they can get jobs for you and things like that, So we're supplying. This factory now is beginning to supply people who need certain trades. And we keep to that because we now develop this technology. Again, the human being is not there, right? We've got these sharp skills. Sharp skills are these technical skills that everybody needs to master one way or the other so that they can get a job. But we think it is more important now to become the human part. The human part is the human touch, or the high touch versus the high tech, right? And what does this high touch mean? Means then we need to now engage with the community. The community is not there just to be, served the way technology wants it. The community has its own needs. Sometimes the community does not need the technology, but they have got a different way of looking at things. How do you engage in the and tell them what is it that they want? And how can you meet their interests and so on? Particularly the indigenous community, the Orang Asal or Orang Asli, as you call it. Right? They have got different needs. Some of them cannot even survive on Panadol. I know of a case, we give them a Panadol, they die. Because their body is not meant for Panadol like us. How do you make this happen? So this is where I think we bring back this whole idea of a community coming in. Understanding the community and then trying to dispense the kind of education that they need for their purpose, not for our purpose. Yeah? Let them live in their own way, in the dignity that they understand. Right? And fortunately or unfortunately, we now need to move the STEM into idea of the Sustainable Development Goal. I think we understand this also, Sustainable Development Goal, that talks about 17 goals that needs to be met so that everybody can go into this level of society that I talked to you about. Yeah? And then STEM will then needs to be changed. For us, we are going to change STEM into STREAM. We still have science and technology. We are not going to disown it. But within the science and technology, there's already mathematics, there's already engineering, there's already medical science, there's already other sciences. We don't have to single them out. All right? But what is more important here, we have also religion as a basis for ethics, morality, because science are sometimes bordering on ethics and morality, whether you should go this way or that way. Yeah? The atomic bomb is an example. This way or that way. You need to have this ethic. And this is where religion comes in. Yeah? For those people who doesn't believe in religion, we have got E as ethics. Where I say, I don't have religion, so I don't care about your ethic. But you still needs to be ethical because you're a human person. And there is boundaries that needs to be respected between two human beings. Right? A for us is arts, That's where the creativity comes in. You remember when I go to Sejahtera, one of the activities is to do painting. Whether you like it or not, you have to do painting because you need to exercise your creativity. It's there, but you have not exercised it, and therefore it doesn't work. So how do you get back to your creativity? Yeah, when we were kids, we are good at drawing. Yeah? We can draw a blue tree, and we are not embarrassed. Now all trees must be green. The creativity is gone. All right? How do you bring this creativity back in science? And science needs creativity. Steve Jobs says this very well. Look at the product of Apple compared to the PC. They're aesthetically very, very high with the kind of design that they've got. Why? Steve Jobs is a scientist and an artist at the same time. You cannot separate this anymore. Right? So these are the new creatures that we need to create. You're a good scientist with very thick spec, what do you call hair, like Einstein, yeah? But that's all that you have. You can't interact with people, you don't know what creativity is all about, and you stay in a room alone that you cannot mix with people because you think people are aliens to you. So how do you bring this back? And this is where the creativity comes, and this is where the university comes in when we talk about humanizing education. And M for us is management, because all this needs to be managed at the end of the day. Science needs to be managed. Yeah? All the arts thing that all needs to be managed, and how do you bring management into it? So for ours, it's not STEM. For ours, it's STREAM, and it's very much more humanizing rather than dehumanizing the way STEM is put in. So for that, we have got our own understanding of what arts and culture is all about. So the university is trying very hard to bring culture back into the university. With hundreds of countries here, I'm sure the cultures are even very, very much more enriching from different countries, different ways of life. But we have no room for that. How do you bring culture back? And I think ISTEC has done so at one point. I think they are trying to enhance this further. And that will allow us into what we call the smart skills. Smart skills mean it doesn't direct itself to anything, but it is a streetwise kind of a skill. And this is where I think my idea, or the idea that I talked to you about what university should be or should look like in the future, will encompass all this. It has to be transdisciplinary. If you are just good in one thing, it is not good enough. You must be good in several things. I think the Islamic tradition tells us this. Ibn Sina, Ibn Rushd, Al-Kindi, name them. They know at least more than 5 disciplines. And they write hundreds of books. Al-Kindi wrote about 200 books. In the 10th century, no computers. He masters 14 disciplines and write 200 books. We have got a PhD. How many books did we write? Yeah? When you meet Al-Kindi, you don't know what to say. Al-Kindi can talk about music. Al-Kindi can talk about pharmacy, of course, astronomy, and all those other things. We know only, for my science, I know just a tip of that, what my nails look like, and that's it. So. And how does my nail connect to my brain, I don't know, because it's not part of my study. And how do you bring this back when you talk about transdisciplinarity, earth and environment, and so on and so forth, right? And how do you collaborate with the community? I'm repeating myself. Eh? How do you make it sustainable so that at the end of the day, we can become self-sufficient? We don't need government funds anymore. We don't need funds from outside. We can generate our own funds. We can be self-sufficient. We can decide for ourselves. Not because I take your money and therefore I need to decide the way you think. That's not education. Education is to decide what we want for the betterment of human life and civilization. And therefore we talk about responsible research. That talks about impact of the community that I've mentioned to you earlier, and certainly collaboration. Collaboration with the prison or whoever wants to collaborate and find some meaning in life, and that's what it's all about, right? So that will be the ultimate for the 40th anniversary and moving forward, that I hope we can institutionalize this and make it happen. Oh, so then the university, I just forgot that. Okay, so we just, sorry. So just see the black thing. We were a job agency, all right, and then we moved on to a sustainable development goal-led university, and the sustainability is important for us. And then eventually, we want to be what we call the final destination as a Sejahtera Community University. Hopefully, this will be the first of its kind when we talk about the community university, and then becomes a role model as we move forward. Yeah? So that will be the kind of the post-pandemic, because the structure of the university as it is now, we see the pandemic comes in, the university cannot function anymore. Yeah? People will be locked down and so on and so forth. How do you then try to preempt that as you move forward? And my last slides, I think, is basically, so how do you make this Sejahtera shift? Just to summarize then, what do we have now? In terms of education, okay, we want to tweak this from education to edu-action. In other words, every education must be followed by a kind of a work, by a kind of realization on the ground. What does it mean? There's a translation into the knowledge into action. And that's why we call it edu-action. So the university used to have what we call USRA. USRA is a kind of a discussion about certain issues, certain problem, certain understanding. Yeah? But after having that, the question we ask, how do you act and make it happen? Not just knowledge remain within yourself, but how do you translate it? Yeah? Knowledge and practice, or the practice comes together. So in our cliche, we have got what we call is publish or perish. Every scientist must publish in a good journal, and then you are given marks. You are promoted on that basis. How many publications have you got? Doesn't matter who reads them. How many publications have you got? But for us, it's now, you've got that good publication. What do you do to make it happen? What is the translation of that work? Yeah? If you say this work says that, diabetes can be stopped in 5 days, can you prove it, that it can be stopped in 5 days? If you can't, then your work is not complete. So we have publish or perish, but do or die. If you don't do, you die. In other words, don't get promoted. Don't complain. Because this university says you want to do something, and that do is about making it happen. And we are not only going to count just numbers, how many percent, how many this, how many that. We're going to say, what is the impact on this? You've got 10% of this, what is the impact on the ground? How do you measure this impact? So the intangibles becomes important, which is the real meaning for life. Yeah? If it doesn't happen, then I think it is not going to be complete again. We're not going to talk about this word human capital, which is a very destructive word actually. It compartmentalizes it. If you're a policeman, then your human capital is this, right? The rest are not important. If you're a lecturer, your human capital is the rest are important. But we are completely as a human being. How do you holistically develop yourself? You may have emphasis on certain things, but that doesn't mean that you cannot be a holistic person or a complete person, including the spirituality, the emotion at the same time. Okay? So in other words, you're not going to be just technology-centric, but you're also going to be humanity-centric, understanding other people, building relationship, sustaining relationship, building a harmonious world rather than a world of hates and distension, the way we see it today. I think there is something, again, that education system must do better. So we are talking about values-driven according to value-driven. Value means you can count. Values means sometimes you cannot count, right? A good policeman, I mean, people always mention this. When you see a good policeman helping people out, regardless of whether he's or she or trained, that's the values. How do you have this value of sympathy, of empathy, of compassion, of love? All this, I think, needs to be embedded as part and parcel of being a complete human being. How does this happen in this context of the Sejahtera shift? And therefore, I would like to talk about, we are not digital native. We are spiritual native. We are born as a spiritual being. We are not born with an iPad in our arms and out of our mother's womb. I'm a digital native. No. We are born with that, what we call the primordial intelligence, already in our being, and how do you realize that? So we spend money on AI, artificial intelligence, but the real intelligence, the natural intelligence inherent in you, nobody cares. How many millions you spend on this? And suddenly you find that the intelligence comes and dominates you because your natural intelligence is not well worked out. And you become enslaved by technology rather than you want to dehumanize or you humanize technology. These are issues that may be too complicated for you to understand, but this is where I think the failure of the university and the failure of education system today. How do you bring and express yourself, the spiritual dimension, over the digital? Now you talk about digitalization, it's difficult to pronounce also. But to me, that digitalization is a dehumanizing thing. You digitalize everything, right? At the end of the day, what happened to your humanity? Everything now counts in numbers and 1 to 0 or whatever it is, you know. How do you digitalize a spirit? How do you digitalize a soul? Can you do that? If you can't digitalize, what does it mean? Does it mean the soul is not important? Yeah? So we are back to square one if you don't do this well. So the minister will ask, how many have you digitalized 100%? Are you a human being if you are digitalized 100%? What about your things that cannot be digitalized? Where do you put them? How do you nurture them? Or do you just discard them because they are not important, because they cannot digitalize, just like because they cannot be counted at one point? These are issues that I think we need to start thinking about. Yeah? And therefore, we're not talking about just about the head count, and also about the heart. People talk about ChatGPT. I told myself, I've got my ChatGPT here for a long time. This is my ChatGPT. But I don't even know how to switch it on. There's no user manual how to switch this ChatGPT on. My question to you is, how many times do you talk to yourself every day? As a rector, I talk to many people every day. But when did I talk to myself? So I understand the problem of my deputy, because he comes and resort to me, he wrote an email and I respond to the email and we understand. But do I understand myself? I can work with him because I understand him. Can I work with myself if I don't understand myself? And that's why at the end of the day, we go to suicide because that's the only way out. We don't even recognize who we are. These are fundamental issues of life that education is not interested anymore. And I think we need to bring this back. And in fact, the latest book now, always the European will write it, and then we will read it. And I feel a little bit disgusted, but we are so lazy, and this is what happened. Yeah? The latest book now from MIT is about the head and the heart leadership. I'll bet you people will buy this and start to talk about it. Okay? It's been in our tradition for a long time because we are so lazy to think about this that we just forget about it. Then another Mat Saleh in MIT will write. The book is already out. The heart and head leadership. Yes, yeah. The mind and the heart. Together. We will scramble and we'll talk about it. And we'll talk in their language rather than our language because it's their book rather than our book. It's time for us to write our own book, but we need to know what we are talking about for that. So this is the shift that I hope this university will go into. This is the shift for the next 40 years. Yeah? And this is a shift, if not even faster. And how to make this happen? It can happen. We have showed you the kind of achievement we made, small as it is, but we can enlarge it. We can make it bigger if we work together and understand this well. So I think I will stop there. It sounds at the end of the day like a sermon, but it's not meant to be that way. But hopefully, yeah, hopefully this is one of the last Al-Liqa I will have with you. But hopefully this is the big message that will remain. That this university must shift, this university must move, the university must take leadership, the university must be courageous enough, the university must be the Khalifah that we talk about. Khalifah kalau penakut, don't call yourself Khalifah lah. You call yourself something else. Yeah? Khalifah kalau tak mau amanah, don't call yourself Khalifah, call yourself something else. Khalifah kalau tak ada ikrar, don't call yourself Khalifah, call something else. If Khalifah no rahmatan lil alamin, call yourself something else, don't call Khalifah. Don't pollute this word Khalifah. It means a lot. It's not just about religion, it's not just about, what do you call the Muslim, it's about the whole world, the rahmatan lil alamin, mercy to all. And if we can manifest that, inshallah, we will be on our way sooner than we thought. So thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Tan Sri, for the inspiring address. Honorable Tan Sri, please kindly remain on stage. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, we will now move on to the next agenda, the launching of IIUM 40 years book entitled IIUM at 40, Leading the Way. So this volume commemorates the 40th anniversary of the International Islamic University Malaysia by showcasing its rich history and diverse accomplishments. It offers a comprehensive overview of the university's past, present, and future. Through engaging essays, personal anecdotes, and thought-provoking analysis, readers will gain a deeper understanding of the university's role in shaping higher education, driving innovation, and empowering communities. From the university's humble beginning to its current status as an international multi-award winning institution of sustainability, this volume captures the spirit of excellence that has defined the university for 4 decades. It celebrates the contributions of the people who have made the university what it is today and offers a glimpse into what the future holds. IIUM at 40, Leading the Way, is a must-read as it exhibits the Islamicity and the international character of the university community with all international exposure and cultural amalgamation. The university community, composed of dedicated intellectuals, scholars, students, and workers, is motivated by the Islamic worldview and code of ethics as an integral part of its work culture. They are humble and honest in their dealings with others and are leading the way to actualize Rahmatan lil Alameen, mercy to all mankind. Without further ado, I now invite to join Honorable Tan Sri Zulkifli, our beloved rector, come the editor of the IIUM at 40, leading the way on stage, Honorable Dato' Wan Muhammad Hilmi Wan Kamal, Executive Director, Development and Planning, come Chairman of the 40th Anniversary Celebration, and Professor Dr. Rashid Moten, Editor IIUM at 40, Leading the Way book. Alhamdulillah, with that, IIUM at 40 Leading the Way book has officially launched. Congratulations, IIUM. All right, thank you, Dato' Wan Muhammad Hilmi and Prof. Rashid. You may return to your seat. Honorable Tan Sri, once again, please kindly remain on stage.
Can I have a word on this? This book, I think, is a documentation of what happened in the last 40 years. I hope this becomes a reference for us because the founder of these universities, most of them are not with us anymore. And the people who actually are responsible for building the concepts, the ideas, and making the university what it is, they are not here. At least most of them are not here. And therefore, their ideas needs to be, quote unquote, protected and made into a legacy. And you need to refer this to some sort of reference. You know, sometimes when I come in and ask some people, what does a garden of knowledge and virtue means? You talk to 10 people, you get 10 ideas, right? And this is where I think the problem comes. So this book is meant to concretize some of these ideas so that we don't run away from the fundamental ideas of what the university is all about. And hopefully this book will serve us. It's not the last of it. We'll write some more, but to make sure that the university remains the way. tradition in education is important. Yeah? Without tradition, university becomes another shop lot. They can change their name tomorrow, and they will not be seen the way it is. So thank you very much for those who work on this. We work very hard on it. I know Professor Rashid Moten is one of them, and many others. I would like to thank you for your kind effort, and hopefully Allah will reward you for this. Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ameen, ameen, ya Rabbal Alameen. Now, the montage launching of AHA's KRKHS Gombak Integrated School of Thought in Social Sciences, GISTS. In conjunction with the celebration of the 40th anniversary of the university, AHA's KRKHS, anchored by the Department of Sociology and Anthropology, are proud to present you the launch of a new initiative that brings social sciences education at the university to the next level. Alhamdulillah, another milestone project for the university known as the Gombak School of Thought in Social Sciences, or GIST. This project is planned to progress towards its full realization within 3 years, inshallah. Without further ado, I now invite to join Tan Sri Rector on stage, Professor Dr. Hazizan Matnun, GIST's project initiator and leader, as well as GIST's panel of advisors, Professor Datuk Sri Dr. Syed Arabi Aidid, Professor Dr. Thamim Ushama, Professor Dr. Daud Abdul Malik Yahya Al-Hidabi, Professor Dr. Abdul Aziz Bergaud, Professor Farid Sufyan, and finally Associate Professor Dr. Ruhaiza Rokis.
At the International Islamic dedicated to holistic and decades. Our educational philosophy focuses on nurturing well-rounded individuals who can manage the complexities of the modern world. Today, we are excited to present a bold new initiative that will elevate our commitment to the social science education to the next level. The Gombak Integrated School of Thought in Social Sciences, or GIST, a groundbreaking school of thought in social sciences. With GIST, we are to shape the future of social sciences through our unique educational values based on Tawhidi worldview and epistemology. GIST embodies our holistic and integrated approach, fostering collaboration between disciplines to drive innovative solutions.
I am really very happy to hear that the Kuliah of Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, Islamic Real Knowledge and Human Sciences, are ready to make a start in trying to build up what we call the Integrated Gombak School of Thoughts. This is, I think, a moment for us to reflect and see what the university has been doing for the last 40 years and what can we gather today to make this integrated thought as well as something that belongs to the university, because it reflects the philosophy, the understanding, and also the vision and the mission of the university. I would like to congratulate everybody who's involved. It will be the leadership of the Kuliah in trying to make these thoughts something that all of us could share and something that could enhance the image of the university moving forward in the next.
GIST is a framework that supports and strengthens the Kuliah's agenda on double I and double R's, which are integration and Islamization, as well as relevantization and research plus innovation.
The Department of Sociology and Anthropology is pleased to serve as an anchor to this initiative, GIS, and we would like to get the support from various quarters to ensure the success of GIS.
The Gombak School of Thought in Social Sciences, or GIST, unites social scientists at IIUM under a common paradigm. It enables us to study the connections across a better comprehension of human reality within the Islamic worldview. Is reshaping education within our walls. GIST is intended to be a global player with religious and local roots. Only invite partners who share our ideals to support GIST through grants, endowments, and other forms of contribution. Join us on this journey as we shape the future of social sciences. Together, let's unite minds in transforming societies with GIST. IIUM, leading the way in integrated social scientific thought for a better world.
With that, Alhamdulillah, GIST has officially launched. Congratulations, Ahas KRKHS. Thank you all, professors and doctor. You may return to your seat. Once again, I kindly request Honorable Tan Sri to remain on stage. Okay.
Sorry if I have to make a commentary. I think this is another milestone for the university that we want to create a school of thoughts. In other words, people will refer to you. So for example, now there's a lot of problems in the country. Who do they refer to? Jakim, fine. But the neutral, academic, well thought of sort of discussion that everybody can benefit from, where does it come from? I hope it comes from here. And this is, I think, a good start. And I was also telling them, I think, inshallah, Professor Jasir Auda will be joining us. Omar Sulaiman will be joining us. And these are the people I hope will contribute to this Gombak School of Thoughts to move forward. The recording that was done, I would like to apologize. It was done in a hotel at 3 o'clock in the morning. The background somehow ada world map. Pakai itu nampak macam hebat sikit lah. But it's in a hotel in the airport just before we leave for the checking in. So thank you very much, and I make dua, inshallah, this will be another milestone for the 40th anniversary.
Ameen, ameen, inshallah. Thank you, Tan Sri. Now, the launching of Action Research Grant 2023 by Research Management Center. RMC, in collaboration with the Sejahtera Center for Sustainability and Humanity, has initiated the Actions Research Grant 2023 with the objectives to enhance the research culture in IIUM and to fulfill the vision and mission of the university in promoting the communiversity agenda via sustainability and collaboration between IIUM community, external communities, and the industry based on the quintuple helix. It is also aimed at supporting the 17 UNESCO Sustainable Development Goals. The grant is open to all interested academic staff who have an intention to solve current community problems or issues throughout an entire nation. Therefore, I now invite to join Tan Sri Rector on stage, Madam Nur Aminah Kostor, Director Admin, representing Professor Dr. Amir Akramin Shafi'i, Director of Research Management Center, and Professor Dr. Zainal Abidin Sanusi, Director of Sejahtera Center for Sustainability and Humanity. Alhamdulillah. With that, the Action Research Grant 2023 has officially launched. Congratulations, RMC. Thank you, Madam Aminah and Prof. Zainal. You may return to your seat. Tan Sri, yeah, any comments? No, please remain on stage. All right, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, now the presentation of first Sharia-compliant Human Milk Bank, National Record Recognition from Malaysia Book of Records to Sultan Ahmad Shah Medical Center at IIUM SASMEC. The establishment of Halimatus Sa'diyah Mother's Milk Center, HMMC, started towards the end of 2019 as part of the SASMEC Baby Friendly Hospital Initiatives, BFHI. HMMC team in SASMEC at IIUM aspires to establish an approved Sharia compliance human milk center to ensure all babies are provided with mother's breast milk where possible. Multiple dialogues and discussions with religious authority from the state of Pahang were conducted to elaborate further on the implementation of human milk center and the standard operating procedure of HMMC. The HMMC was officially launched by Her Majesty Sri Paduka Baginda, the Raja Permaisuri Agong, Tunku Haja Aziza Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria binti Almarhum Al-Mutawakkil ala Allah Sultan Iskandar Al-Haj on 26 July 2023. Without further ado, I now invite to join Tan Sri Rector on stage, Madam Lee Pui Leng, Officer Manager, Malaysia Book of Records, accompanied by Honorable Professor Datuk Dr. Muhammad Saufia Wang, Hospital Director of Sultan Ahmad Shah Medical Center at IIUM SASMEC. Ladies and gentlemen, for your information, SASMEC has also been awarded with the Medical Laboratory Certificate of Accreditation by the Department of Standard Malaysia. Oh yes, please, please, Ansri.
Can I read what it says here? National record. This is to certify Sultan Ahmad Shah Medical Center at IIUM. It's listed in the Malaysian Book of Records for being the first Sharia compliance human milk bank. Dated September 20th, 23, venue International Islamic University, Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. Signed Datuk Sri Dr. Denny Hui and Datuk Sri Dr. Michael Teo, is it? Right. So congratulations. One more.
Congratulations, SASMEC. As I said earlier, SASMEC has also been awarded with the Medical Laboratory Certificate of Accreditation by the Department of Standards Malaysia. Thank you, Madam Lee and Professor Dato Dr. Muhammad Saufia Wang. You may return to your seat. Once again, please remain on stage, Sri. Now, we will witness a momentous occasion, the MOU exchange ceremony between Malaysian Prison Department and Harun M. Hashim Law Center as they come together to formalize their commitment to collaboration, innovation and progress. The collaboration between Jabatan Penjara Malaysia and IIUM through Harun M. Hashim Law Center has started as early as 2009 through several training and certificate of laws program. In 2011, Harun M. Hashim Law Center started an accredited Diploma in Law programs with Jabatan Penjara Malaysia, known as Diploma in Law and Correctional Sciences at DILCOS. This program is meant to cater officers from Jabatan Penjara Malaysia, and it is used as a platform for their promotion during services with Jabatan Penjara Malaysia. Recently, in early September, Harun M. Hashim Law Center has provided a training on court simulation to 20 officers from Jabatan Penjara Malaysia. This MOU will cover, among others, preparation of academic programs for Malaysian Prisons Department staff, conducting research and placement of practical training for participants, organizing seminars, workshops, lectures and publications related to the participants, and finally other areas of cooperation agreed by both parties. Therefore, without further ado, I now invite to join Tan Sri Rector on stage, Professor Dr. Ahmad Faris Ismail, Deputy Rector, Academic and Internationalization, Associate Professor Dr. Zuraida Haji Ali, Director Harun M. Hashim Law Center, Professor Dr. Farid Sufian, Dean Ahmad Ibrahim Kuliah of Law, Yang berbahagia KP Datuk Narendra Singh, anak lelaki Chan Singh, Director of Professionalism Development, representing KJP Datuk Haji Nordin bin Haji Muhammad, Commissioner General of Prisons, and PP Rezwan bin Sagil Elias Yusuf, Deputy Director of Prison and Correctional College. Now, with great honor, I invite Honorable Tan Sri Rector to present the souvenirs as a token to express our deepest appreciation to Yang Berbahagia KP Datuk Narendra Singh and the Jabatan Penjara Malaysia.
Made by the prisoners.
Oh. Alhamdulillah, thank you all VIPs. You may be seated, and you too, Tan Sri. You too. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Let us now sing the IIUM anthem, Leading the Way.
Lead the way.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. Alhamdulillah, we are now approaching to the end of our program this morning. I would therefore like to invite Al-Fadil Ustaz Muhammad Rashid Ridha Muhammad Shukri from Center for Language and Pre-University Academic Development, Salpad, to recite the dua. فَلْيَتَفَضَّلْ مَشْكُورًا.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وله الحمد في الآخرة وهو الحكيم الخبير والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم أنت ربنا لا إله إلا أنت خلقتنا ونحن عبادك ونحن على عهدك ووعدك ما استطعنا نعوذ بك من شر ما صنعنا نبوء لك بنعمتك علينا ونبوء بذنوبنا فاغفر لنا فإنه لا يغفر الذنوب إلا أنت. Almighty Allah, Lord of mercy and beneficent, bless this with your pleasure and mercy. O Allah, Lord of bounties and infinite, shower upon us your divine guidance, that our work and deeds be done in completeness and excellence. Assist us, O Allah, in fulfilling our obligation and seeking your pleasure. O Allah, bless our gathering here today and make us disperse in peace and in protection from sin. اللهم اجعل خير أعمالنا آخره وخير أعمالنا خواتمه وخير أيامنا يوم ألقاك فيه. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا بالإيمان. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. تقبل الله منا ومنكم.
Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. Jazakumullahu khairan, Ustad. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before we leave the hall, on behalf of the organizer, I would like to thank Honorable Tan Sri Rector, the University Management Committee members, honorable guests, and all IIUM staff for your presence here, physically and virtually this morning. May this gathering invigorate us to work harder for the betterment of IIUM and the Ummah, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan kathira. A kind reminder, please complete a penilaian ideal peribadi organisasi survey by MSD. You can find and scan the QR code pasted at the end of the seat in every row. With that, I close this session with wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.